Well, a very good evening and welcome to this edition of Breeding to Win. We've got a busy show for you. Let's take a look at tonight's lineup. We're going to start off with Racing in Paradise, part number 3. We've seen part 1 and part 2. Part 3 on the show tonight. We also bring you a stallion from the Freeman portfolio. We catch up with updates from Stallion Captain of All. We also chat to Vian Smith from CTS. And we look forward to an update on the CTS Ready to Run sale. All in tonight's show. And let's kick off straight away with Racing in Paradise, Part 3.
Mauritius has been one of my favourite countries to visit for many years, not only for its beautiful hotels, beaches, fine cuisine and friendly faces, but the Mauritians' enthusiasm for horse racing is second to none. We're here in Mauritius in the parade ring and it's Maiden Cup Day, their biggest race of the year, and with me are two long-standing Turf Club members who are looking after us today. This is a fantastic day and it's your biggest day of the year.
It is the biggest day of the year, and as you can see, it's a very popular sport over here. We've been organizing horse racing for 200 years, and my wife and I wrote a book on the Turf Club, both in French and English. You should have a copy of the book that we've written. You will have the whole story in the book. And we've got another big challenge, which is at the beginning of December, where we get all the top jockeys of the world, well, some of the top jockeys, who come over for what we call the International Race Day. And we have just as many people as you found today. We used to have far more people. With television now, many people stay at home and just watch. We've had 75,000 people here some time ago on the maiden day.
But it's still absolutely fabulous. Your crowd here today and the Mauritians' passion for racing is something very special to see.
Very special to see. I should know about it because we woke up very early this morning. We left home very early this morning because we live in the south in order to avoid the traffic. Others were less lucky and they were caught up in the traffic jams. You see, when I married my husband, I did a little guess what was expecting me, because it seemed that I married a man and the Mauritius Turf Club at the same time. So it is a fabulous day, and we have sunshine, there's a big crowd, and so many horses, so many runners for the main race, the sixth one. And that is the main attraction, because sometimes you have less horses than that. And today is absolutely fabulous. We've got many guests from abroad, from all over the world, not only Mauritians.
Well, it's lovely to be chatting to jockey Robbie Fradd this evening, and Robbie has ridden globally around the world, and here he is now riding this season in Mauritius. Robbie, your experience of riding in many different countries is quite amazing, and how are you finding Mauritius?
No, I love it. It's great because I've got a great stable behind me. Joubert and Sudesh, you know, they know the job. They're very good at getting horses ready, and they know what they're doing. They've been doing it for 30 plus years, so probably not as much as I've been riding, but for a long time. And it's just a pleasure because you give them their feedback and they listen to you and they go ahead with it. And I think that's what makes probably a stable very successful. Everybody works together.
We were just saying before we went on camera that you've ridden in so many different countries, Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong. You really have been around the globe, but Mauritius is still a very enjoyable place. And you rode here some 20 odd years ago. 26
years ago. Nothing much has changed. They just said that they've lengthened the straight a little bit longer. So, but everything else is basically the same. It's built up, it's developed so much compared to when I was last year. I think there was one gas station and one store in Grand Bay, and that was it. The rest was just beach and hotels, you know. But yeah, it's good to be back, and after so long, you know, I really looked forward to it. Had a great time in December when I was here for the international, and I think that's when the bug bit.
The lifestyle is really, really good, isn't it? And I know all the other jockeys have a really fun time. You know, when they're not riding, it's a good lifestyle. It's
a great lifestyle. You know what? You know, back home, well, in Australia, we can do 4 to 5 meetings a week. We do 13 to up to 16 barrier trials in the morning, which is, you know, 34-degree heat, and we do it. Myself and Jeff, we based there, and we still do it. So we still work hard, and so it takes its toll a little bit. But here, once a week, beautiful, you know. And you kind of still at my age, I still keep my fitness and kind of try and do the best I can to keep fit, which is important, I think.
Well, you're riding for the Reset stable. They're obviously way up high in the log, and you're top of the log as a jockey this season so far.
Yeah, I came here probably 2 months into the season, I think. So, you know, I was fortunate. In fact, I called Joubert about something totally different, and then, you know, Washong heard he's back, so he said to me, look, you know, would I consider coming? I said, sure, you know, just let me know what your members say, and, you know, I'll definitely come. So that's when he got the ball rolling, and here I am here, and really enjoying it. You know, good stable, good members, you know, great stable to ride for, win, lose or draw. They enjoy themselves and they love their racing.
Well, of course, we all know you from back home. You originate from South Africa, and there's a lot of really, really decent horses in Mauritius that come from South Africa. It's really the main port for the horses racing here.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And the quality of horses have got a lot better since I was here 26 years ago, that's for sure. They're buying decent horses here, nicely bred horses. We've got a few Captain L's in our yard, and they all seem to be able to run. So, funny enough, I think I rode Captain L when he was a 2-year-old. Cape Town, I think it was Met Day, could be wrong, for Vaughan. But yeah, and some nice horses. And I think racing can only get better here. You know, the MTC, the Turf Club, are doing their best to try and bring up the standards each year. So they're doing their best, and you know, I love it here, and just really enjoying it.
Gavin Glover is a very big owner here in Mauritius, and it's lovely to be able to catch up with him in his home this evening. Gavin, thank you very much for taking the time to chat.
It's a pleasure.
Now, you're very heavily involved with the Pedro stable.
Yes, Pedro stable it's a very long history. We've been together since 1998, save for the time between 2006 and 2012 when I was acting as an administrative steward in Mauritius, and unfortunately our rules of racing are such that in Mauritius administrative stewards are not allowed to own horses on the race course. So yes, it's a long story which has had its ups and downs, but it's been a happy time for me.
And are you having a successful season this year?
Not so much as last year. We brought a few horses over. Unfortunately, some of them did not perform as we expected, so we have a moderate season this year as compared to last year, but we hope to finish on a high note this season.
Well, it goes that way, but it's sort of in the middle of your big season, and it's wonderful racing here at the moment.
Yes, the weather is much better. We're at the end of the winter, and so it's not too hot at the race course, as you may have gathered last Sunday. The temperature is lovely. We don't have too much rain, enough for the track to be in good condition. Yes, we just went through the biggest race day of the year for the Mauritius Turf Club in Mauritius. We have another Group 1 next week, which is the Classic Sprint, Princess Margaret Cup, and then in a few weeks' time we'll have the Gold Cup, which is the Classic 1600, which is also a Group 2 race.
Well, it's lovely that there's yourself and quite a few others that are actually supporting South African trainers, and of course you get very, very good horses from South Africa racing here.
Well, most of our horses are imported from South Africa. The good thing is that as you start having connections in South Africa, you obviously can lay hands on very good horses, and it helps. And it's only normal then that those trainers who have provided you with horses are kept in the loop. So I bought young horses which are with Brett Crawford, with Alison and Kevin, and Justin Vermark, who got me a couple of horses. So I bought a few shares in these horses as well. So yes, it's the connections are good, and once the connections are good, you get what you want from South Africa.
Right, as promised, we also bring you an update from a Freeman stallion. John Freeman's portfolio of stallions, one of the strongest portfolios around. Let's hear what John Freeman has in store for us.
I fortunately have a lot of his progeny in my yard, 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds at this stage, and a lot of them carry many of his traits. They've all got super temperaments. Absolute pleasure to work with all of them. starts. I've got horses that go 1,000 meters. I've got very good sprinters, and I've got horses that go 2-4. So as far as distance goes, they're pretty much a mixed bunch. He can get from a sprinter right through to proper staying horses, which is very nice. My best 3-year-olds, Colt, my best 3-year-old filly, both What a Winters, Magical Wonderland and Dutch Phillip.
Magical Wonderland has come forward to pick it up. Magical Wonderland far too strong.
Both top sprinting horses, both got black type. And as far as the young 2-year-olds go, I've got a Drakenstein filly, What a Winter filly, Clouds Unfold.
Clouds Unfold in front, go the distance, Be Yourself is still there. It's an open call, Clouds Unfold still in front as they come inside the final 100, and Clouds Unfold is drawing away in the closing stages.
He's really a super filly and an exciting filly for the future. He gets a lot of nice horses, and I think when he gets a good horse, I think he gets a really good horse, which for me is a very exciting thing.
Ici, la police qui va enlever l'arc de triomphe. 5e victoire dans la course pour Frankie Lettori.
It's storming home. One of the last possible gasp for the Challenger thriller.
What a finish to the Melbourne Cup. Brave is under pressure when they turn in. It's been a relentless run cup. Who's going to be the last man standing?
Battling on through, then Wings of Eagles, Cliffs of Moher, Wings of Eagles swooping though, and Wings of Eagles get back to win.
His 3,000th winner.
Vodacom Durban July.
Gauteng Sansui Summer Cup.
The mighty Captain L. Well, he's managed to acquire a couple of sons at stud, one of which is the highest rated horse sprinter that's been in the country for some time, and that's Captain of All. He's time form rated 126. He was an absolute freak, trained by Dennis Dreyer, and we catch up with how he's doing in the Stallion Barn.
Captain of All, Captain L's first son is study at Cloverflay. I got an email from Alan Porter of Trunix just to remind me and tell us that, are we aware that we have the fastest son of Roberta in the world? What's been great about Captain of All is that in his first 3 seasons, he's covered 356 mares, which equates to 119 mares a season. Now that, in anybody's book in South Africa, is really great numbers. The reports that we got out of the meeting today is that there are a number of trainers that are really excited about their Captain of Alls. Apparently really good temperaments, and they've got really, really good actions. And what we're really excited about is, although he's a horse with immense substance, he looks quite low on the ground. He's throwing horses with a lot of leg. And we believe that it's the English speed, this classic speed that's coming through into his progeny. This horse was rated 126, the highest ever rating for a horse in South Africa by the NHRA.
I have seen him quite a number of mares, and I must say I'm very impressed with the foals on the ground. Looking forward to another few being born now shortly. I must say they're quite leahy and I really like them.
Vian Smith, a busy man. He's obviously very involved with Cuda Insurance, and he's also currently heading up CTS. And CTS have their first sale coming up in some time. That's going to be the CTS Ready to Run, held out at Durnville in the middle of November. Fiona Ramsden and the team from Breeding to Win took time to chat to Vian. We also bring you a bit of information regarding the upcoming Ready to Run sale.
Well, we're here at Cuda HQ at Eden on the Bay, and it's been a while since I've caught up with Vian Smith, and I'm looking forward to getting all the Cuda news this morning. Vian, it's always lovely to have you on the show. It's been a while since we've chatted, and it's in the busiest time of year breeding season-wise. How's it been for you here? Busy?
Yeah, it's been a busy year. Can't believe it's October already. You know, Christmas is a couple of months away, so it's been good. We're in the middle of the breeding season still, so yeah, things are busy on the bloodstock side at Cuda.
Well, the breeding season brings you obviously lots of different opportunities and extra work. Who is actually on your bloodstock team?
The bloodstock team now is headed up by Jason Poltney. Jason's been with Cuda for quite a number of years now, and a lot of people in the racing industry would certainly have seen him at the events. And then last year he moved over to the bloodstock side, and he's ably assisted by Jo Kamfer, who just joined us fairly recently. And she's got a real passion for racing, and she seems to have taken to the position like a duck to water.
Yeah, I've certainly seen Jason's friendly face around, and I've seen some beautiful foals on the ground already this season. And of course, as I said, that brings more opportunities for you because you've got foal insurance and fetus insurance.
Yes, absolutely. The great thing about fetus insurance is it doesn't only cover you for the time that the mare is in foal, but it also covers the foal until 30 days of age, which means that any deformities at birth, which would make the horse a foal uninsurable, is covered under fetus insurance. And then certainly foal insurance, once those foals on the ground, we can insure them from 24 hours. And it is certainly a busy time of the year for us. So we are, we're very well supported by breeders, and we've got some really good products. Also some veterinary products that gives added coverage for those foals.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time of year. I hope you haven't had too many bad luck stories.
No.
As I said, I've seen some fantastic foals on the ground. They really do look lovely. It's a lovely time of year.
It really is. I think it's one of the, well, for me, just as a participant in the industry, is one of the greatest aspects of the industry, is to be able to go out to the stud farms and just see the horses in such beautiful environments, and especially this time of the year when you've got the little foals running around everywhere, and it's quite joyous.
And of course, you're busy with all your different insurances. I see you're very, very busy with your Cuda Sport horse. I see lots of things on social media where your sponsored riders are doing well, and the horses that you sponsor in that area are doing particularly well.
Yeah, absolutely. The sport horse side of the business has become a really important and substantial part of the business. Very active on the social media side. People certainly love seeing their horses on the various social media outlets, and it's an important part of our business. Also, our personal and commercial insurance offering, so house insurance and car insurance and the various forms of commercial insurance. We've really focused on that over the last number of years, again to bring more diversification into our business, and to offer a more diversified service to our clients.
Well, it's building really well as well.
Absolutely, it's been really good. There's still a lot of people out there that don't know that we do house and car and business insurance, but that's changing very fast now. We've also recently appointed a lady, Dindy Harding, who's just recently joined us from Infinity Insurance actually, and she's running the personal and commercial side of the business, and she's also brought a new level of knowledge and experience into that side of our business, which we're very excited about.
The game insurance is so interesting, and we don't often talk about it, but is there a busier time of year with the game insurance?
Yes, absolutely. On the game side, the warmer months, pretty much starting from now through to February, there's quite little activity. It's too warm up country to be moving animals, so that certainly is a very quiet time for us. So the season really runs from kind of middle February to kind of now, middle October. So that is the busy time, and middle of winter, I would say, is probably the most the most hectic time on the game insurance side. And you're right, it is such an interesting industry. A lot of parallels with the bloodstock industry actually, and the industry's been through some changes over the last few years, but there's certainly quite a bit of activity going on now. There was just recently another big buffalo sold at Tabatolo for just over 30 million rand. So there's still a lot of money in that industry going around, and very interesting and a nice diversification from the other products we do.
That's lovely. I hope you get to go and see some of this game sometimes.
Yes, I certainly do, and I've seen parts of the country that I probably never would have seen otherwise. So from an enjoyment perspective, it's been great.
And other things happening here at the Cuda operation. I know you've got the big Cudex launch coming up in Johannesburg on the 27th of October. That sounds really exciting.
Yes, that's going to be great fun. We've had Cuda Foreign Exchange for a number of years now, and we've decided to rebrand that into a separate entity called Cudex, and to celebrate the launch, we've invited a whole bunch of people to a race day at Turfontein, run by Equinity. La Cavalera is the theme for the race day, and I went to an Equinity race day last year at Turfontein, and night racing event, and it was incredible. It really was superb, and they put up a great show, and they still managed to make the racing and the horse the main feature of the show. And I know they set out to bring new people to racing, people that wouldn't otherwise go to racing. They did a great job of that last year. We've invited a whole bunch of our foreign exchange clients and prospective foreign exchange clients, so that for a lot of the people that we've invited, it will also be a first time to the races. So we're really very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, it does look like to be a fun day, and I've seen it's well advertised, so hopefully you'll get lots of people on course. It does sound lots of fun. And otherwise, what else is happening here at the Cuda offices? You're always very busy. I can see all your ladies hard at work.
Yeah, always something going on. As I said, the breeding season is a busy time of the year for us, and we're going into the various ready-to-run sales now. November there's the ready-to-run sale in Johannesburg, where we'll certainly be present, and then late November, 23 November, it's the Cape Thoroughbred Sales ready-to-run sale down here in Cape Town. So that's another source of business, and we'll certainly be present there. And then it's right into the Cape Premier yearling sale. So, and with the various yearling sales following that. So yes, it is a busy time. A
very, very busy time. Sales time always is, and the catalogues are just getting stronger and better all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we are already transitioning to becoming, more part of the international bloodstock fraternity. Over the last number of years, there's just been more and more internationals attending our sales and supporting our sales, and I think that trend will continue. And I hear a lot of good things about the advances we're making on the export protocol side, and if we can just get that over the line, it would, in my view, be absolutely revolutionary for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. We're making huge steps there.
Yeah.
And I know we've got the big races coming up. Will we be seeing Cuda sponsoring some races again in the season?
Yeah, absolutely. We've always been keen on supporting the industry. We are very much active participants in the industry. This year we sponsored the gold bracelet up in Durban, and we're actually turning 10 in March. Would you believe it?
Wow.
That's hence all the grey hairs. But we are in the early stages of planning a potential race day for March next year, which wouldn't have any features attached to it, but really just a race day to invite all of our clients from the different product lines and just have a great day out and enjoy the racing. But that's still probably a bit premature of me to even mention that, but we're looking at doing that early next year.
Well, I must congratulate you on 10 years coming up. It's gone very quickly, but you've done so well, and you're very well known, and you've got lots of friendly faces, and you've become a really big name in racing.
No, it's been great fun, and we've got a great team of people here. I still find it amazing when I think back. It's only a few years ago we were sitting in a small little office at the back of my house with 3 of us, in the business, and now we're close to 30 people in the business with our head office still here in Cape Town and an office in Pretoria. But it's been real fun, and I'm looking forward to the next 10 years.
Yeah, I must say, it's a super team. As I said, they've got friendly faces, and you look like you get on as one big happy family.
Yeah, we do, and we've got a real, it's a real focus for us to keep the culture we have in the business, and to maintain that despite growing and diversifying. And at the core of that culture has always been one of caring, so caring for one another and caring for our clients. And we work in industries where it's very personal. It's not, losing a horse is very different to losing a car, and we've really tried to keep that as we've grown. And it's not always easy, and we've got to remind ourselves of that from time to time. But I believe we've been successful at doing that.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. We've got the foaling season to get through, and the sales just around the corner. So busy time ahead, and I'm sure we're going to chat to you again. But thank you very much for having us here this morning, Vian.
Thanks, Fee.
Well, that's a wrap for this edition of Breeding to Win. We hope you enjoyed our Mauritian coverage once again. We're going to take a short break now, and we'll be back after this, where I catch up with Rob Scott to find out a few more initiatives that are coming out of the Teletrack building here in Rivonia, as well as what's happening in Phumelela Publishing. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. Right, great for me and a great opportunity to catch up with CEO of Teletrack, Rob Scott. We're here at the Rivonia studios, and there's been a lot of development here. Obviously, there's been the relaunch of the channel, which has certainly raised a lot of attention in terms of how upmarket it is and how well they've done it. And we've also down here in the new publishing section, which has been taken over by Rob Scott as well. Rob, great for me to have the opportunity to catch up with you. A whole host of developments happening here at Teletrack, and obviously the new branding's just gone out.
Yeah, listen, we started the whole rebranding exercise for the brands first and foremost. We had a lot of disparate sort of brands, different looks and feels, because we launched products over different times, so we needed to clean that up. But then we also felt that Teletrack needed a bit of a revamp in terms of our look and our feel. And I must say, very pleased with how it came out. I think Dieter and Wesley did a fantastic job. Nice and clean. We still get some comments at the moment around, you know, whether we should have the white on blue in terms of the odds, because people maybe not picking it up so great on their TV screens. But that we'll work on going forward, and I doubt whether we'll please everybody, but I think vastly the feedback that I've got has been positive. I would like to invite you guys back when we open up our new studio. We've integrated a lot of new technology where we can make it more interesting for people to view racing, where we can use statistics more efficiently. And we have a plan to actually run a South African only channel on a subscription basis, where you can actually watch the betting channel if you choose to, but on the days where you actually want to focus on South African racing, you'll be able to do that. And I'm quite excited about that, because I think for the first time the purist is going to be taken care of. I am more of a purist myself, and I like to focus on South African racing, but we can't afford two channels. It's as simple as that. So we've come up, we started with teletrack.com, where people could watch the clean feed, and I think a lot of the breeders and the owners have appreciated that, and we made that a very reasonable price. But I think some of the guys would prefer to watch it on their tellies, even if they understand that they can flip it onto the TV from their phone. It's just easier for them.
Rob, brilliant initiative, because since I've been a presenter, obviously one of the biggest concerns is that there hasn't been a dedicated channel for local racing. Now that that's coming about, is there a price structure that the guys can maybe anticipate going forward?
Well, we actually do have a pricing structure in mind, Grant. We want to create a VIP package for our guys out there. We want to give them a online subscription to computer form with a printer, which means that they can actually print their own computer forms and have access to all the racing anywhere in the country if they so choose. We want to encourage people to bring new people to the races. So once a year, our plan is to they can have a lunch on us at one of the courses, and the only prerequisite is that they bring somebody who's never been racing before. We're also looking at a voucher once a year on their birthday for them to have a flutter on us. They'll get free access to teletrack.com completely. And we're looking at about the $8.99, $9.99 model. We're in the process of costing all of this, and then you'll get a decoder delivered to your house where you could watch a broad selection of whatever racing you want. So even from a GBI perspective, if you have Ascot or one of those big days on and you want to focus on that for the day, you can actually watch their feed. So it's the very first time that the person at home can actually control and select their own product, but to package it into something that's worthwhile. Give guys discounts if they book early to the course. Do some things around travel. If there's a Dubai World Cup, you know, work with some of the travel agents to try and put something together for the guys. You know, so there's a lot that we can do in terms of that, and I think it will grow over time. But to treat those guys that have put a big interest into racing, either big punters, breeders, owners, trainers, whoever, the opportunity to enjoy their racing in the manner that they want to enjoy their racing. And then, of course, free of charge, well, not free of charge because it's on our DSTV channel, but free of charge, you can watch the racing channel, because we have to get our product out there to get people to bet. After all, that's what funds the sport for us.
Rob, we obviously bring plenty of international racing to our screens, and that turnover appears to be growing, and obviously the commingling works a treat. How profitable has that been for the company going forward?
So, you know, the international side of the business continues to grow. You know, particularly with the rand dollar exchange rate, we're one of the few businesses that actually get quite excited when we see it going in the other direction. So that continues to be a strong and core part of our business, and we're very grateful to the international team under Dean, who make sure that runs absolutely smoothly. So that's fantastic. And then the initiatives that we've brought into play around the tote in terms of the marketing efforts that we've been putting in, we've actually seen that where our tote bedding, and we can only compare ourselves to Gold Circle because they're the only competitor with the tote, but we've actually, from tracking behind Gold Circle from a turnover point of view, are now tracking ahead of Gold Circle. So we look at that and we believe that had we have carried on, there's probably a 30, 40, 50 million rand number that we could that we would have continued to lose. So we're pretty excited about that. And the tote is now holding its own breaking level on a month-by-month basis, which we're excited about. And then the tote guys have got an initiative where we've put aside some budget to start to renew the totes, to make sure that the air cons are working in the totes, to try and clean up that bedding experience for the customer. So we'd love to do all of them in one shot, but we don't have the money to do that. But there's now a proper plan in place to actually do that. And I think V and Nathan and his team are focused on that and working on that. And I'm excited about that because we often get criticised that we don't look after our punters sufficiently, and to some degree that criticism is correct, and we're trying to fix that.
Rob, obviously you're one of the few guys that can say they've been in every facet of the game. You've been a key owner, you've been quite a big owner when you had horses with your brother. You've obviously also liked and enjoyed having a little bit of a punt, and now you're in the admin side of it, and you've done significant work in growing Teletrack to where it is today. You're obviously very qualified in being able to assess the situation and see where we're going forward in the game and adding some good value.
Yeah, listen, I think it's, I grew up in a racing family, as you know, and I often think that I like to think of myself as a smaller owner. Yes, I had a lot of horses with my brother, but today I've got 1 or 2 horses with Gary Alexander. I have cut back a little bit since my brother passed away. But I like to think that there's a place for everybody in racing, from the biggest, most wealthiest patrons to the guys just having a dabble in the tote. And I think that's a perspective that I try and keep in play. There's a lot of people talking on behalf of the big owners. They get their say. They get their chance to join in on the show. And that's important because they put a lot into the game, but I think sometimes the smaller guy needs to be considered. And I like to think that that's my view, because my brother wasn't a big trainer, my late uncle wasn't a big trainer. We were small, and we always struggled to kind of stay in the game and to be competitive.
One of your initiatives, Rob, was Teletrack.com. How's the growth been with that? Obviously, it's been a great tool, and I know a lot of my Mauritian clients are very keen on the product to actually watch, get replays and get involved in the South African racing from there. How's the subscription base grown since the launch?
It's actually it's been very successful in terms of I think getting a core bunch of people who really love their racing, who want it, and then taking care of some of the punters who love the replays. I know a guy like Matthew Stevens, I've saved him a lot of time and effort, and I think I should get him to pay me some cash back, because he doesn't have to record all of those things and keep them and work through them. So I think for guys like him who study form and are real experts, they can now just pull it out as they want. But more importantly than that, Grant, what a lot of people don't realize is we were often criticized when I arrived here that we didn't show enough replays or analysis. But we were on an analog system, so you had to find the tape, you then had to find the race, you then had to find the points. So for a guy to prepare 8 or 9 races for replay analysis took a lot of time. But with this initiative, the fact that we digitized the product, we can now actually find it very easy. We can look at the areas that we want. So now we have the footage at the tips of our fingers. And with the launch of our new channel, I'm sure you've been seeing some of the tips of the day where we actually highlight the horse in the race. We actually plan to do that for every race prize. So we want to give punters some insight that's not opinion, because I do listen to what the guys say, and often, they care about the opinion of the trainer because he works with the horse every day. They care about the opinion of the jockey because he's riding them and knows the competition. Whether they really care what Rob Scott thinks, or even sometimes what you think, is debatable, because it's our best thinking, and it is what it is. Whereas we can now show them statistics and show them events that happen in the race for them to make up their own mind as to whether or not this is a worthwhile bet. But more importantly, it also helps the guy who's maybe just flicking through the channels, and to see something that's different, to see something that's exciting. And I'm not a motor racing fan, for example, but you look at the footage and the way that they present that, you actually sit and you can watch an hour, 2 hours of motor racing, and I don't really care who wins. It's just interesting to hear what these guys have got to say. So I think that's where the benefit is going to come long term for us.
A couple of other great initiatives. I've seen the branding that's been put on the tracks afterwards, a great marketing opportunity for brands to be publicised. And you're now starting to compete with the international races abroad as well, the likes of the Hong Kong International and some of the big European meetings as well. So certainly, in terms of technology, you're going the right way.
Yeah, sure. I think our big focus now needs to be on the presenting side of the business. I think we can be more professional from that perspective. But things come in time. I've been with the business now 3 years. We had contracts that we needed to fulfill. We had budgets that we needed to match. So we've been able to do this over a period of time, and these things are now starting to come to fruition. They're not something that's happened in the last 2 months. These are things that have been planned for 2-3 years. So that's the next phase, and we want to be the best we can be. And obviously we need to look internationally to make sure that we're offering what the rest of the world is able to offer. Not only for the customer here, but also for our international partners, because they're going to expect to see this improvement in terms of how we show our racing internationally.
Rob, obviously it's a time of the year where a lot of elections are coming forward for the various RA boards. We've got a nice young group of guys that have been selected for Cape Town, the likes of Vian Smith, Philip Sarenbach, as well as Philip Tabra and Craig Kisvet. Nice young guys that could certainly add some value. And in Johannesburg too, for the national board, a lot of interesting new names coming on there as well. You're already on that board, but the likes of Mike de Kock, interesting guys. They've got a wealth of knowledge in the industry as well. And obviously, where do you see it with these type of new bloods coming into the game? It's obviously going to add value to the industry.
Look, I'm extremely positive about the outlook of racing. I know that we're going through some tough times for breeders, trainers, owners, and I accept that. But I think sometimes out of adversity comes strength and new growth and positive things. So I'm on the camp that things are going to get better. I believe that from a racing association, it's great that more people are looking to get involved in a positive way to contribute to racing. I've been on the board for some time now. I've watched our investment under the various guys that have been there over time grow from sort of around the 60 million mark to over 108 million rand that we manage. And that's in no short thanks to guys like Chris Gerber, Mark Curry, Larry. So those are fantastic things. Stakes, particularly in the Cape, you've seen a big resurgence in stakes in Cape Town. Cape Town are racing for around 91 million rands worth of money, and that's a huge growth over the last few years. So those things we can always do better, and we need a strategy to say what's our next goal for stakes, because we understand the better the stakes, the more owners you're going to be able to attract. I'm excited about some of the protocol stuff that's happening. So I think it's fantastic that we've got this new bunch of guys that are looking to get involved. I think lots of guys like to sit behind their computers and have a dip. But one has to think about what's that doing to the overall game. I like to think whether I am nominated to stay on the board or voted in to stay on the board or not. If I love racing, I have a contribution to make. And if that is even just making sure that once a year or twice a year my daughter brings 15 of her friends, and if I have to cough up for that, that's fine by me. I'm happy to do that. Those are 10 or 15 people that wouldn't have come racing. And I think if everybody had that approach, and if everybody started to think about what can I as the individual do for racing, I think we'll all be in a better space. I was on the Sporting Post Facebook this morning because I like to hear what people are saying about me. And most days it's not so clever, but they've got over 6,500 followers. If every one of those people that writes comments on there actually took somebody racing, that's another 6,500 people across the country. And I don't think that's too much to ask of people in racing. So you know, I believe that it's great to have the likes of Mark de Kock looking to get involved. He's got a wealth of experience. But I do need to say that you need to balance that board in such a way that it's not only about the horse piece of it. That's the most important part of what we do, but it's also about how we manage our assets, how we market ourselves, how can we communicate better, and how can we manage things better. And there's a process underway at the moment where, from a racing perspective, we are looking to say, how do we do this more effectively? How do we get the mix right between the horsemen running it and the financial guys making sure that the numbers work? And that process is in its infancy, but we're working on it, we're looking at it. I'm having a look currently. New Zealand are looking to reshape and redo their racing. So we've used that as a case study, and I'm busy working through that to try and see what can we learn from them, what can we learn from the likes of Hong Kong, etc., etc. So I think one has to be pragmatic about how you approach it, and you have to make sure that there's a plan put in place. We need to communicate more effectively. But again, if I'm not on that part, there's only 2 guys who can be voted in out of the 5. You know, ultimately it can be tough out there, and administration roles are very tough because there's always somebody who can do it better than you know. And sometimes you've got to learn from those things because people are right. You have to listen to what people have to say. They are customer at the end of the day. So I'm very positive about it, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 or 8 months. I think there's going to be a lot of new and exciting innovations coming, and I think that's fantastic for racing. I thought that John's comments at the Equius Awards were really good comments, and you know, John's a good statesman, and I've learned a lot about racing and breeding by listening to John over the years, and I agree. You know, the share price of Phumelela drives the dividend payout. The dividend payout, 80% of that dividend payout that goes to the trust gets paid back into the stakes pot. So the stronger our share price is, the faster our stakes will grow. The more positive we talk about our industry, the more likely we are to be able to get in sponsors from other walks of life. And big businessmen, and let's not kid ourselves, that racing, it's great to have syndicates and it's great to get the small guys involved, but it's always going to be driven by the wealthiest set who can afford to put their cash into the game. And if you're a big businessman thinking about investing in a sport that you kind of know you're going to, if you're very, very lucky, break even, but in all likelihood you're going to lose money on your investment, you want to know that it's a fun, great place to go. So I think we chase away a lot of our customers because these are not people that aren't well informed. These are not people that don't do homework before they get involved. And I just think we've got to have that view. And it's not about pushing things under the carpet. If there's something that needs to be done, let's do it the right way. Let's check out what we think is not right in the industry. And I'm all for that. But as you say, let's deal with that through the structures. And let's go out there with a good news story about racing, because it's going to attract all the right people to want to be associated with us.